Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. So much you have experienced and seen, heard in these 2 days. I speak, of course, to the audience in front of me and not to the ones who will listen later. But for all of you, listening later and here, I'd like to give you a short metaphoric message. Dear ones, we have given you so many times the idea that light is coming. And that in itself is a metaphor, for the light we speak of is enlightenment. And this takes shape in so many ways. You could say that the light is coming in wisdom, in understanding, between human and human. That's not here yet. You can say light is coming in the inventions of the planet, so that electricity can be produced without any resource being used, and food can be grown where food could never be grown before, and there would be no hunger. That's not here yet. And on, you might say, that someday there will be enlightenment even in that which is your governments and the way things work in corporations, and that it will change the face of everything. I'd like to tell you that all of that hangs in the field. It hangs in the field. That means it is your future. For those in the room and for those perhaps listening might understand, but I will tell you, your planet is on a target, a road that has a target on it. And on this road, there is something unstoppable, and that's you. There was a time when I said, humanity may do this if it chooses, and you can go back in time and hear this so many times, that you have free choice, dear ones, and if you choose to do this, then it will happen. And at this point, I will tell you, at the beginning of this year, that the snowball is rolling, and you're not going to stop it. And that snowball is white, and it's light. And it may take a little longer to get down the hill than you want. But I have seen this in other civilizations, in other planets of ascension, and some of you have been on them and recognize it, and your old souls here today, because that was the plan, that you would come back and have enough lifetimes of experience to feel it and remember it and know not to be afraid, to be part of the final battle of dark and light, which may surprise you in how it develops. But even in these last 2 days, you've seen perhaps what is going on and the hope of the future. That's why you're here. And those listening to my voice, I will say to you yet again, things are not always what they seem. I want to give you, in closing, a little parable. It's the parable of a man named Woe. He's not actually a man. He could be a woe man, but we call him a man because it's convenient and you understand it better. It's a parable that stretches the imagination of reality, and that's what parables do. In some of mine, I will take you to planets that don't exist and situations that can't happen. But there's a reason. There are things you don't realize, attributes that you do not know, about that which we call light. And so to show you what I mean, I'll give you this parable. If you ask a warrior, a soldier, what it's like to fight a battle at night, they will tell you it's not often done. Night battles, and even in current wars, are often with artillery. Very seldom do they meet another soldier on the field at night. Those battles are fought during the day, you say. But sometimes they're not. And if you talk to a warrior of old, where they're only using swords on the battlefield, and you say, what is it like to fight at night? They'll look at you and they say, you don't know who's there. And it's very, very difficult. And it's horror. That's the metaphor of this planet at the moment. You're in the dark. You are still in the dark. And you're fighting battles wildly in the dark. And that's the dysfunction you see. I'll take you to a planet that's very dark. And woe is a warrior. And he's been fighting on this planet for a very long time with a very old rusty sword. And he's been put out onto the field so many times and thought it was his last time, as he would hear noises and think he's heard shapes and swing his sword. And he had been wounded a number of times, and he was in the trench once again, ready to go out and do it again. Paint this picture, it's pretty sorrowful, pretty ugly. But the planet itself was dark, and daylight never seemed to come, and it always seemed to be battle after battle with his rusty sword. It may seem funny and perhaps a little goofy what comes next. But a little green man showed up. He spoke funny. And he said to Woe, I have a special saber for you. And Woe said, really? I could use a new one, because mine's so old and so rusty. Thank you. And the little green man handed him this. And it didn't look like a sword at all until they pressed a button, and out came a lightsaber. Wow. The little green man went away. Woe knew he was going to win this battle, because as soon as he turned that on, he would then be able to swipe his enemy, and he would be chief on the battlefield, and he would be winning this battle, and he wouldn't have to worry anymore. But that's not what he got. When it was time for the warriors to go on the field and they rang the bell and up they came out of the trenches, he raced out into the field and he hit that button and up came the light. And what he saw around him, he didn't expect. All of the warriors that he had never seen before, he'd only heard them before, they showed up. And all around him there was shock, as they saw not him with a saber sword, but the light that it created. And they looked around, and for the first time they saw each other eyeball to eyeball. And they recognized they were all in shabby clothes with rusty blades, and they'd even forgotten what they were doing, and they saw each other as human beings for the first time. And collectively, without a word being spoken, while he was holding that light, they all dropped their swords and looked at each other. And almost every single one of them walked around. For the first time, they could see one another. Didn't even recognize the uniforms. Didn't even know why they were fighting. And it was the beginning of light on that planet. One man. This is a metaphor for you, as goofy as it might sound, of light where there is no light. That's what you get. You don't know how dark it is here until you see the brilliance of the wisdom that is coming. You don't see how dark it is here until someone comes along with ideas that have never been there before. And you go, why didn't we think of this before? With inventions that have never been seen before, that change not just the atmosphere of a technology, but rewrites an economy. Those are the kinds of things that happen with light. Those are the things that are hanging in the field. You've had a glimpse of them in these 2 days, of what is possible on this planet. So I will echo what my partner said earlier. Don't be afraid, because you have that saber sword. And slowly you'll understand how to create the light, what it means, and how to put it in the framework of mastery and not conflict, and how to use it so gently and so softly and so beautifully that you illuminate areas that needed illuminated and they never even knew you were there. Like the one who strikes the match in the dark room, you can't see who it is, but you see all around you. This is the future of this planet, regardless of what you're being told. This is the future of this planet, and old souls are the ones with the experience that they have who will bring it to fruition on this planet in these times. There is no accident you are here. There is no accident that you are hearing these words. Now go from this place or this recording and think about what I have said and understand who you are and how the Creator has set this up and how you have agreed to it and why you're here. In compassion and love, which are the tools of the day, I congratulate you for being here and taking the mantle of this lifetime that may change everything on the planet. I am crying in love with humanity. And so it is.